Yes, everybody, welcome back to Talking Wolves. Welcome back to an update video on the channel. I hope you guys are keeping well. We are coming towards the business end of the transfer, not of the transfer window, of the season, which means the transfer window is approaching. Of course, this is where speculation really starts to ramp up anyway. Players coming to the end of loan deals, contracts expiring, agents get talking to people. So gonna give you guys the latest from in and around Molineux. If you've got any thoughts on today's news, please do let me know in the comment section down below. Hit that like button, and as always, smash that subscribe button as well, as your support has been fantastic recently, and now we're creeping way over 19,000 subscribers. Hopefully we're at 20,000 subscribers sooner rather than later, which would be fantastic. Let's start off with some of the news anyway. Over the weekend, Hugo Bueno once again playing for Feyenoord over in the Netherlands, currently managed by former Premier League forward Robin van Persie. And Van Persie's actually made a comment to the media in the Netherlands that they are hoping to maybe keep Hugo Bueno beyond this season. Now, in terms of finances, they probably won't be able to purchase Hugo Bueno. That would be quite a huge outlay for that club, especially with what you would assume Wolves would consider selling him for. But Robin van Persie has said the club are looking into the possibility of potentially extending Hugo Bueno's loan at the club. However, it will take all parties to confirm and approve this. So very interesting to see what Wolves' stance is on this. Of course, Hugo Bueno is open to the idea of coming back to Wolves. I think Wolves are open to the idea of having him back and want to reintegrate him into the first team squad. But is he going to be happy with the first team opportunities he gets? If Ryan Aït-Nouri is still at the club, of course, his minutes may get restricted. But as of right now, I would say this is very unlikely. I think Hugo Bueno will come back to Wolves or be sold. I don't think a loan move, even to Feyenoord, in my opinion, is likely at all. So maybe you want to keep an eye on, but if I'm honest, I doubt very much that will happen. Over the weekend as well, we saw a big link actually to Samuel Lino, the Atletico Madrid wide player, currently playing on the left-hand side for Diego Simeone's side. Predominantly as a left winger this season, but has been known to play as a left back or left wing back, which I would probably say he's probably more suited to in the Wolves system. Loads of different reports on this in terms of value. You're probably looking anywhere between sort of 25 million and 35 million for him. The last Brazilian we brought from Atletico Madrid hasn't been too bad. I think, to be fair, every player that we've purchased, I think we signed Diogo Jota, Johnny, obviously Matheus Cunha, and now potentially Lino. I think those first three haven't been too bad at all, to be honest. The same journalist had also reported that obviously Atletico Madrid do have a interest in Fabio Silva, so some sort of swap deal could be done. So it will be interesting to see if they go ahead with that. Of course, I mentioned Fabio. I've probably mentioned him on every single one of my last few updates, to be honest, and I'll mention him again in a second as well. There were him complimenting Atletico Madrid, Diego Simeone complimenting him in press conferences. So I think there's probably something in that as well. But it'll be interesting to see if Samuel Lino is a player that does make his way to Molineux this summer, with Fabio Silva potentially going the other way. But it has been reported over the last 24 hours or so that more clubs are now interested in Fabio Silva and have inquired about the forward. So the French clubs Lens and Lyon have both inquired, alongside Valencia and Celta Vigo. It's said that Wolves are going to be wanting around the 20 to 25 million euro mark to sell Fabio this summer. Of course, I've mentioned before, when you add up the wages saved and the loan fees, it's probably not far away from Wolves, from what Wolves bought him for. So the loss isn't probably as great as a lot of people maybe previously thought. Those clubs that I mentioned there, I think Lyon especially, don't really have the liquid cash. I saw a lot of French and Lyon fans commenting on our post saying really highly doubt Lyon will make this move. Loan deal is going to be off the table, I'm sure. So it is going to be a permanent move for Fabio. Again, destination at the moment just isn't very clear. There's so many clubs, and weirdly, he's becoming one of the most sought after forwards, I think, in ahead of this summer. So I think he'll definitely go. It's good that there's lots of interest. I think that'll help Wolves and their bid to try and get the highest offer possible. And you would hope maybe Wolves can get a decent sell on from that as well. Let's talk about a couple of players that we've been linked with as well. One that's going to be really, really interesting to see where he ends up is Franco Mastanto, currently playing for River Plate, an unbelievable young player, 17 years of age, a fantastic player. Now, it was reported in Argentina last week that Wolves are one of many, many European clubs linked with having an interest in the young player. Some of the sides were including, top level teams, Barcelona, Liverpool, Paris Saint-Germain. But weirdly, again, in Argentina yesterday, it was reported that Marseille and Wolves had representatives in Argentina watching the player closely again, which seems to think that Wolves are really ramping up their interest in this. One of the most sought after young players in world football at the moment. If Wolves were able to get this one over the line, that would be a phenomenal piece of business. But very, very talented young player, and Wolves trying to get ahead of the queue, ahead of the line to try and sign him, which would be, like I said, a phenomenal piece of business. So maybe one for us to keep our eye on over the coming days and weeks. Another player in South America is Breno Biden, central midfielder, could play a little bit further forward as well. Currently playing for Corinthians, 20 years of age at the moment in Brazil. It was reported by Radio Crack Neto in Brazil that Wolves reportedly hold an interest in him. Not much more information on that one right now, but it is obvious that Wolves are scouring the South American market to see if there's any more hidden gems that they can jump on or get a decent value, because again, the last few that we've seemed to have pounced on seem to be very, very decent value and very talented footballers as well. And one that came from France yesterday, Nicolas Pepe, the former Arsenal winger, he's had a very decent season so far in Villarreal. Was known at Arsenal as being a flop. They spent so much money on him, over 70 million if I remember rightly. But he's had a really decent season in Spain so far. Now, Wolves, Everton, and clubs in Saudi Arabia have reportedly registered their interest in the player. Part of me thinks this is agent talk because Villarreal are desperate to sign him to a new contract. He's got about 12 months or just over 12 months left on his current deal in Spain. They want to keep hold of him. Is his agent touting these other clubs out to potentially see what's out there, but also try and get a bit more money, squeeze a bit more money out of Villarreal? I'm not so sure. But yeah, Nicolas Pepe at the moment, 29 years of age, so on the slightly older side of things in terms of what you're looking for, but probably really in his prime now in terms of a player that you could probably squeeze another good 2-3 years out of. Already got, albeit he wasn't fantastic in the Premier League, already got Premier League experience, so maybe one that we can also keep our eye on over the coming weeks. And finally, we'll talk about a staff member, Dan Perury, currently the head of recruitment or chief scout at Everton. Thought that he's going to be on his way to Wolves. Now, we did discuss this on our podcast. If you want to go and check it out, it was out yesterday, and we spoke about Dan Perury towards the end. We don't think that this is a player that is going to be a staff member, that's going to be replacing anyone as such. I think he is somebody that's going to be coming in with that experience to work alongside the likes of Matt Hobbs and the current recruitment team there. And yeah, listen to the podcast if you want to know our thoughts, and we speak about some of the players and the recruitment that Everton have gone after, because some of the players he's identified and they've gone for during Everton's time have actually been really decent options. I know a few Wolves fans had sort of turned their nose up at him when we posted it initially, but yeah, intrigued to see what happens and if and when the recruitment changes with him in the team as well. But guys, that is all for today's video. As always, be sure to hit the like button down below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, let me know your thoughts on today's news, and until next time, I'll catch you on the next one.